think that I'm not from outer space? I said, wow. She left us speechless. We were
Yeah,
speechless.
I was speaking at a conference 2 years ago, and there were two men. They seemed to know each other, but they talked to me separately, and they didn't. They looked human.
Uh-huh.
They looked like Korean War veterans. That look they
Yeah.
have
Mm-hmm.
with the tan jackets and the like dicky pants, and they Korean War veterans had almost a uniform.
Right.
They were dressed like that, but it was like Korean War veterans are very rare birds now.
Uh-huh.
So to have two of them dressed so similarly, both wanting to talk to me, and both telling me, well, I used to work at Area 51, and then silence.
Somebody else would say they did that too, huh?
Yes, and everybody in the community knows that the tall whites work in Area 51.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, okay, I know what you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't out them, I didn't yell and scream, but I knew they weren't us.
Right. You can tell that. But
Yeah.
yeah, and they want to know exactly how you what make you think that I think that they are different. So I think what they do is they try to find out so that they can get themselves in the position where they can act exactly like whatever country that they're in, when they do their trips and travel. But the young lady at the dive said when she was going in there, and when she came out, that was really really shocking to both of us, my sister and I, that the lady would say, "What make you think that I'm not from a foreign
She almost flat out told you, huh?
Yeah, she did. She did. Because we were just stunned. Our mouth was said, well, we said, yeah, you could be. I said, yeah, you could be. You look like an American. I said, well, but we were talking about people from outer space. She said, well, what would make you think that we and people in outer space look so different? So, but I think they changed, long as they stay here, they change their appearance, really changed to look like us.
So that was your personal experience on the street rather than your experience in the data processing part. There are a bunch of us out here who have memories of being in space. Did you see any records to see if that was actually happening or anything related to that?
You don't have the memory?
I have memories, but I don't have paperwork to prove that they're real. And one of the theories in our community is that they've picked us up and put us through virtual reality so that it's all images and that we don't know the difference. And so without having paperwork to prove it, you're kind of left in a limbo.
You are not quite left in a limbo.
No, I have memories, and I have enough friends who remember me out there that I know that I was in something.
Yeah.
And that this something is pretty real because technology I described 4 and 5 years ago, the patents are being released now. And my memories were activated by an NSA group. They were they were Russian translators. That's who they picked. It was like, okay, she's going to think they're heroes. She's going to talk to them. And sure enough, it worked.
Yeah.
They appealed to my patriotism and said,
But you were
okay, these are heroes of the Cold War, and they want to talk to you, and I'm like, okay.
But what did they think you know? I mean, what did they think that knowledge that you have that would have helped them?
I don't know. I really don't know why they activated my memories. That's my $1,000,000 question is, why me?
You were real young when you were there, when you had your trips, right?
Yeah, I was 4.
Uh,
I was 4 when they took me the first time. So,
and you don't remember your father and
I remember
his brother.
I don't remember my father being out there. I remember my father moving us a lot because he was afraid of something. And I know I have a brother and sister who have the same small deformities that I do. And I have, since I've remembered, I've assumed that they were probably used as well. My sister with the small deformities tried to kill herself when she was 5.
At 5, gosh.
And my brother is 8 years younger than me, and we never really talked much when he was growing up. And now as older adults, we talk a lot. And whatever memories he's had, he hasn't shared with me. So I don't know what he remembers. But he has a 175 IQ, so I doubt that he was left alone.
He would have had that even if they hadn't gone into space.
That's probable, but I don't think there's anybody that IQ level that's left alone.
And you don't think it was sometimes we have our own people. Do you think
I was pretty sure that I was taken by our own people. And my memories are of speaking German in space.
Beautiful.
Not English, but German. And wearing a black uniform on the bridge and a white uniform at special events. And when I was working, I was wearing a gray uniform and speaking German. And I don't speak German here on Earth, a little bit, so I recognize the language and I get the basics like a child would, but I'm not understanding what I'm remembering. And I had to do a lot of research to figure out what I was remembering.
Didn't you feel like you had a closeness, extreme a closeness, as if it could have been you were in the presence of not only the father, mother, grandmother, close relative, closeness. You were treated real special, weren't you?
I had a great grandmother who treated me really special.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And her husband was a Freemason, Scottish Rite.
Yeah, I am too. Scottish Rite.
So
Eastern Star.
Well, she wanted me to join Eastern Star, and my father said no.
Oh, he shouldn't have said that.
She wanted to teach me a lot of things. She wanted to teach me, because she was part Creek Indian, she wanted to teach me native herbal.
Yeah.
And my dad didn't want me learning that either.
So it's on that's your mother's side.
No, this was his own grandmother, and he was like, "No, you don't need to learn that," you know. So yeah, she was trying to teach me, and I was 24 when she died. So I used to go see her and
get as much out of her as you could.
I felt that I mattered to her, and so I spent a lot of time seeing her, and seeing my mother's mother as well, and it was, they were special to me.
Yeah, you're a special person, very special.
Well, thank you. What do you know?
It'll come more. My on my father's side, his mother was Cherokee. She was they were from the Cherokee from Georgia, and they were sent by the U.S. soldiers through that they call it Trail of Tears. You know, where they had given them gave them a fever, some sort of a, what was it? What they gave them? Our military gave it to them. Tried to kill them off.
They killed a lot of them then. I have family descended from Charles Park's wife, who was Cherokee. So I'm not enough for citizenship, and where I can prove it happened is before the Dawes rule, so I can't even protest, but I know there is some in my ancestry.
Yeah. Good people. Yeah, very caring.
So, I don't know how much you can say.
Tell me another thing when we go to this. We're talking and I haven't talked to Daryl because I wanted the conversation to be fresh.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed you didn't. I kept trying to call and you didn't pick up either. So I figured you wanted to have it fresh on this. So yeah.
No, I didn't see the call.
Oh, okay. So
been working in this house. What was I going to say? I was going to say something. I don't know if I need to say it.
Well, Daryl told me that you had seen my files, and I've been nervous. So I don't know what you saw. I don't know what I remember that you could verify or any of that, but you know, if you remember about me, I would like to hear it.
I think we've been discussing it.
What?
We've been discussing it through our conversation now. But we have been discussing, not all of it was vision, but it was something that I had come across. A lot of people, Jane Fonda, you know, I looked at her file, and one thing that was so interesting about her file was that she had a case against the agency, and they had said that she was not, they didn't have file on her. They didn't have a file on her. Yeah. And eventually, my lawyer was her lawyer, and the fellow, we had, how do we do this? When he didn't know that I knew Jane Fonda's I don't know her personally. I have met her since then, but not in connection with anything about the agency. But uh, it was so funny. Her file was had come into the to the agency archive, and they brought it down. And this friend of mine had the file, and I had stepped out of my office, and she was telling me. She said, "Doris, guess what? I have Jane Fonda's file." I said, "Let me see it."
I bet.
I said, "Don't go nowhere. Stop right now. Let me see it. I'll read it." And it wasn't a whole lot of information in it, but it was a lot about her Vietnam days. And and it has pictures in there. But they had already said that she didn't have a file. The agency was not keeping a file on her. And she did have a file.
Yeah, I think a lot of people had files.
Still do.
Yeah. I think at this point they've got a file on almost everybody.
Oh yeah.
So if you contact them and say, "I want to see my records," they say, "We don't have them," but they're lying.
Yeah, they're lying. Yeah. Yes, they're really.
So yeah, that's the way it is.
Even when the president came at the time, I think it was Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter came,
Yeah.
and they told us that anybody ask you a question, just let the high anyone come and they ask you a question and you don't answer. You don't know nothing. And I said, "What do we do? We look like we are dummies." they ask us a question and we keep walking. Yeah. And if you have to go to court, that's another standing one. You cleared. You cleared for not having to answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I figured it was that way. So how are you, Are you,
You
the book that
you supposed to have died, right?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I've died several times.
Yeah. That last time. I think 10 people went with you. Right? It was maybe less than 10, but maybe 10. And they had a lineup of you guys in the newspaper. I cried for you. Okay. Pass on.
Okay. There was an accident that we avoided that could have put in that situation. The time I died, it was in 1984. And I had just basically gone through hell the whole year. And halfway through, I took my whole bottle of amitriptyline. And I looked at my baby girl, and I took her, and we walked down to the emergency room, and they put her in foster care till they found her dad. And I was in the hospital for 3 days. When I came to, the doctor said, "What the hell, I guess she's going to make it." I never did tell them what happened while I was dead. But I was in this place, it was warm, liquid, bright, gold-colored light. and I was just floating in it, and it was quiet and calm and not the hectic that there is here.
Right.
And I heard this voice, man's voice, saying, "You're going back. You have a job to do, and you're going to do it.
Yeah.
And don't do this again." And I was back in my body.
Yeah. That sounds
So-
familiar to me, too.
I haven't tried to kill myself, but
I drowned that one particular time. There's one more than one time, but I drowned when he told me to reach for the apparatus. There's the water, and I reached. I said, "No, I'm not gonna reach for it." I said, "Why you want me to reach for it?" He said, "Because it's time for you to go." I said, "No way! This is life. This is living. I like this." And he told me it was Jesus. He told me, he said, "It's not yet your time. When it's your time, I will come for you."
yeah, there's a being that I don't know what he actually looks like, but when he shows up, he looks like Michelangelo's David.
I haven't seen that.
wearing like a Franciscan priest kind of a robe, and he shows up looking like that, and he's like, "I don't know why you keep dying, because you're not on the schedule for decades." I'm like, "Well, the body doesn't want to stick around." He says, "Okay, let's fix this, let's fix that."
Yeah.
And he fixes enough stuff that I can keep going.
Yeah.
Which is, I have no idea what he actually looks like, but that's the way he presents himself to me.
Well, I think I've seen a little bit more on that one. Yeah.
But I've had issues with pernicious anemia, so I get sick every so often, and end up seeing this guy, and he says, "It's not your time yet."
Right. So he said the same way I said it. That he said, "This is not yet your time."
Not your time yet.
Yeah.
So he says, "You're too happy to see me."
He know he'd be worried. He would have us. He couldn't be able to get rid of us.
Yeah, he tells me, "You're too happy to see me. What's wrong?" And I'll tell him what hurts, and he fixes enough of it that I can keep going.
Yeah.
He says, "If I fix everything, then the government's going to put you in a lab somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't do that."
Yeah.
So, it's not like I'm fixing it myself.
Right.
So,
What about your space travel? Mostly by yourself.
mostly I'm in a ship, and I'm the pilot, and I'm chipped with something behind my ear that connects me to the ship's computer, and it's like if there are other people, I'm not really aware of them. So sometimes it's a small ship and sometimes it's not. And when I know I was on Mars for 25 years, and while I was there, I was in a ship by myself, and I would be given orders to do things. And
You're brave.
I was ordered to do air support for the ground troops that were fighting the mantids and the raptors. And sometimes I would be sent to pick up a mantid to interrogate him, and I'd usually end up eaten by a spider when I did. And when I didn't have military duties, I was supposed to pick up bodies, human bodies from all over the planet, and bring them back to base to be brought back to life.
Yeah.
And about half of them turned out to be the Mars native humans.
Mm-hmm.
So that was interesting seeing them wake up and realize they were with us because they hated us.
Mm. Good. It is.
Um, when the Germans first got to Mars,
Yeah.
because the women were topless, the German men would end up raping them.
Oh my God.
And so they had just cause to not want to have anything to do with us.
So why they didn't change? They didn't put top on.
No, it's part of their religion.
Oh.
Their religion worships
The body.
the mother. It worships the breasts as the giver of milk, and it's not a sexual thing. It's a reproduction and spiritual thing.
Mm.
And they were not going to change who they were just because these invaders had shown up. And they wanted nothing to do with the wars that the Germans and later the Americans have continued. And if we would go into an area, they would just pack up and leave.
Mm. What about being a nurse? Your nursing career.
I've heard stories about being a nurse in one of the black ops, and that I've done some pretty outrageous things, according to people who they tell me I saved their lives, but I don't have any actual memories of it.
Oh, you don't?
I don't. I mean, I'm going along and this person says, oh, by the way, I was this kid, blah, 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 and this doctor was going to kill me, and you killed the doctor and blamed it on me so that I wouldn't be executed. And I love you so much. And I'm like, I have no memory of that at all. But yet it's like, okay, I did something decent for somebody. That's good to hear.
Now you were famous. You were famous. You were famous.
I'm famous?
Mm-hmm.
I know that the Mansids contacted me here on Earth, and they thought they were summoning a demon. And that has been something that I can't.
You're not a demon.
I can't shake that feeling.
You're not a demon.
No, I don't think I'm a demon.
No.
But to understand that my enemy in wartime saw me that way, that was like, okay, that's.
Well, it was them or you.
Yeah. When they contacted me, it was like, well, why are you helping us? And I said, because you're not my enemy anymore. That was war. And it was like, this was a totally foreign concept to them. That you only kill people in war.
Yeah. You have had an interesting life.
I've had an interesting, what I remember, would be interesting on its own, and I had no idea I was a nurse out there.
Mm-hmm.
On Earth, I'm 65 and I spent 20 years taking care of people. I combined housekeeping and home health care.
Mm.
So I was helping people stay in their homes rather than be put in a rest home and die.
Beautiful.
And that was really rewarding work.
Yeah. You are something.
Most of them were pretty interesting people, and I learned a lot from them.
And they can learn a lot from you. Yeah. Uh-huh. Very good.
I had one man who was in his 90s ask me why I was doing home health care. And I told him I was exactly where God wanted me to be at that point.
Mm-hmm. Made you feel good.
Yeah, he was like, okay.
So that ain't no demon.
No, that ain't no demon. So, I've had people in this community tell me I was a demon because of what I remembered being involved in.
So,
And
always remember, it's survival of the fittest.
it's a battle of the fittest, and it's a battle of survival of humanity out there.
Mm-hmm.
And every square inch is already owned by somebody else, so we are going in and having to take what it takes to survive. We're not allowed to be nice people and trade for things.
Have we ever?
And sometimes we are so outmatched that we're taken advantage of by some of these other races. And to me, looking at that outmatched and thinking about those beings coming here, we think we have problems now.
Mm-mm.
You know, if one of these races decided to come in and just take over, there's not much we could do to stop them.
No, because we don't, and then we don't know anything about them.
Yeah, the majority of us don't even know they exist.
Right.
So if they showed up tonight, it would be, you know, it would be over before morning. So some of these folks talk about that ETs are wonderful, and I go, which ones?
Point me to in that direction, the nice ones. Mm-hmm.
There are some nice ones, but even then, they have an agenda, and you'd best know what it is before you get too cozy with them.
That's right.
So there are a few groups out there.
Human nature.
There's a group called the Plantee, and they're a group of
Sound like Native Americans.
They have bases in Australia and in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and they're what most people would call a gray.
Okay.
But they're one of the races that the Bible calls a watcher.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been watching humans develop for a very, very long time. And they're setting up something they're calling official first contact for this fall. And they're bringing different star nations in, and they're bringing in some of the nice guys. Mm. So this should be a safe, interesting thing to be part of.
Did you ever meet any of the scientists at Mount St. Helens?
No. I met some at JPL when I was 14.
It had a lot of embryos. They have them in those what do you call those kind of casements that they freeze the embryo.
Okay, so they froze them.
Mm-hmm. And
are they human or hybrids?
They look human. They look human. Thank you.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's always interesting when you just see them and you don't know what they are.
Yeah, but they have to. Most of the ones that I was seeing at that particular time, that was during the time that Mount St. Helens had an eruption. And
yeah, that would be 1980s.
Yeah, something like that. And it was, they didn't know how bad it was going to be, so they took the capsules and cut them out to the middle of the ocean, and they dropped it there. But there is also dropping them there under that deep area. Uh, there's also another area of existence for those capsules and people in that was doing the work there, scientists.
I know there are bases under the sea. I'm not sure how many, or even if they're all human. Some of the ships coming out.
They have, some of them are just they're human. They part human and part whatever. Like some have like different shaped ears, and when they were at the Mount St. Helens area, they could, I suppose anywhere else too, they leave out at night. They can't be seen during the daytime. The American people, Earthlings, would be able to know that they are not human. There's one fellow that I was talking to that I didn't never get his name either. I think I did, but I just didn't get his name to keep it in memory. That they are such sweet people, very sweet, very tender. They are they're very concerned about others, and they don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. They're always taking what was I going to say? They love people. They love people, but they can't be, and they don't like the idea that they can't be seen during the day. They don't realize that people during the day, they see them, they'll be afraid of them, and then they cause a lot of trouble for them. So they can only go out at night.
A lot of the hybrids that I've met have been very gentle souls and had no clue how nasty humans can be.
Yeah. And but they're so sweet and kind. They're very sweet and kind people.
They are. They're sweet and kind, and they're smart, and they're helpful, and they're almost too good for us.
Yeah.
And if they came forward, I mean, I get hassled because I have abilities, and I look pretty normal.
Yeah, you look normal.
I look pretty normal, and I start I have to shut down my abilities when I'm around normals.
Yeah.
And otherwise, if I don't, they pick up on it, and it's like, what are you? I go, human, I think. But yeah, I was left, the modifications that were done to me, I was left with all the time telepathy, and it took me decades to learn how to turn it off.
Oh, wow.
Where that I could be around normals without scaring them. And when I was Christian, I would pray for them, and 80-90% of the time it would happen, and then they started, what are you?
Yeah.
Nobody has that kind of success rate. And I'm like, I don't know. But the stuff that I was weaponized, that's behind a firewall.
Wow.
So I have to believe that my life is in danger, or someone I care about is in danger, and then I'm able to access those other abilities. But only in a defensive mode. I can't go on the attack with them. And there are sometimes you get mad and you really want to attack some person who's taking advantage of the community,
Right.
but
You have to stand back.
I can't.
Right. You have to let nature take its course.
Yeah, I have to let karma deal with those people.
Right.
But, this stuff...
I had mentioned to Daryl, I looked at you, I said, she looks the same as she looked years ago.
I tried to
That's last time I saw you.
Except I'm fat. No, I didn't.
And you wear your hair the same. You wear your hair
Yeah.
the same. I did.
Oh yeah, it's.
Oh wow. Mhm.
Yeah. I've worn my hair long most of my life. Every so often I would get it cut real short, and it's curly when it's short, so it'd be cute. I'd be brushing it, and it was like, and that stops too soon.
I remember you from that hair too. I said, and I said, she's the same. I said, but she died.
Yeah.
I cried.
I have counted 7 times that I've died. I don't remember it ever being in the paper though.
Yeah. It was and you were on the what do they call it? The wall of, I forgot the name of the wall. But your name went up on the wall. You know, once your name go up on the wall.
Ooh, the Vietnam War?
No, yours went up on the agency wall.
Oh, on the agency wall. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Out front. Yeah.
So next time I show up in Virginia, I'll have to go take a look.
Right.
That would be interesting to see. I guess that would prove that I was involved with them, huh?
Right. Right. Yeah, they really serious about putting names up on the wall when it happens.
Okay. Well, there's no other record that those people were part of them, so I can see that. What was it? Do you remember the Doonesbury cartoon strip?
Yeah, cartoons.
Yeah, they had a character named Duke that was supposed to be a CIA agent, and one year for Veterans Day, they had him looking out kind of spacey, saying, Happy Veterans Day to all the spooks. So, that really touched me.
Yeah, I bet.
So, yeah. But I have memories of alters who actually still work for the CIA. They do things that I'm not real proud of. So
we had one that was right next door, not right next door to you. No, we were in the middle, and then your office. It was. He flew the plane from Nicaragua.
Okay.
So he was in that. Yeah.
I remember Brazil and Argentina and Nicaragua, and Penny here has never been there.
Okay.
But I've kind of got this thing that, knowing the memory bleed over, that I probably should never visit those countries. It might not be real safe.
No.
Yeah, it might not be a smart idea for me to visit those places. So, there are times that I wake up and I'm speaking Spanish or Portuguese. And my partner, Lou, just looks at me, you've been gone again, haven't you?
Coming back.
Coming back. Yeah, it was from one of those that I was coming back, and three men in black fatigues broke my shoulder.
Mm.
That was about a year and a half ago. And it took a 4-hour surgery to fix it.
Wow.
They told me, we don't want you reintegrating any more alters that are navigators. We've tried to kill you and we can't, so we know we can cause you pain, so we don't want you to do this anymore, and crunch.
That was it. Mm-hmm.
They ripped 3 of the 4 tendons in my rotator cuff completely off.
Oh, wow. Gosh.
So here it is, a year and a half later, and I'm just now getting to where that I can dress myself. I still can't tie bows in the back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like when you put on an apron, I can't tie the bow.
Wow.
Because I can't get my left arm that far back.
Mm.
But yeah, they made the point.
Yeah, that gave you attention too. You got attention. Listening.
Yeah, I haven't even attempted to reintegrate anything since. But before that, I had reintegrated 31, and with each one came more memories. And some of them have been pretty hard to live with. But yeah, when we're out there, it's either me or them.
It's better. It's better that it's coming the way it is and not overpowering you.
It's better now. That first lump coming all at once.
Mm-hmm. That was too much.
That was too much, and I basically sat and cried for 3 years.
Wow.
And I couldn't sleep. I was lucid that whole first 3 years. I had to take some sort of sleeping pill to be able to sleep at all. And that, you know, they talk about you go 7 days without sleeping and you're crazy. I was getting real close to that by the time it finally eased up. But that was when I was doing all the research to figure out what I was remembering too.
Mm.
And it was just hell.
Yeah. I can be.
If these guys had asked me ahead of time, I would have said no.
Mm-hmm.
If I'd had any idea, which is probably why they didn't ask.
No, it's when I'm going to.
I still don't know why they wanted to activate me.
Mm.
And the team that did it, they're all dead now. They were killed in 2016 and 2017 after I went public.
Mm-hmm.
So that was heartbreaking because they were actually good to me except for my bringing back my memory.
Mm-hmm.
I actually cared about them, and the team head was a Air Force major. Mm. And when he was killed, he left a widow and a 6-year-old child.
Wow.
So, you know.
Yeah, that was something.
Yeah.
Very touching. We make.
Samuel Heinrich was the head of the unit, and Steve Wilhite was the one who activated my memories, and
he's real good.
They're both dead now, and I'm finally getting to where I can talk about them without crying.
Yeah. How long has he been gone, Steve?
Huh?
How long has he been gone? Died.
Steve was killed December 15th, 2016. Mm. So it's been 4 or 5 years. And he had been a Russian translator his entire adult life. So he was like major big deal in the NSA, and he got killed because I was talking. And
No,
so I have felt guilty.
Don't put that on you. Don't put that on
Huh?
you. Don't put that on you. They were gonna get him anyway. Don't put that burden on you that you think that you were the cause of it. You were not.
Well, they unit contacted me that they were going to kill him if I kept talking, and I talked to him, and I told him about the threat and who it was from, and he says, "I'm a big boy, I can handle it."
Yeah. Yeah, because he was in deeper. He was in deeper than you knew.
Well,
So it wasn't all that you said.
okay, so it isn't just me. He had other stuff too.
There was more evidence.
Okay, there was more stuff there, all right.
Yeah, so clear yourself. Clear yourself. Don't carry no baggage.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, that had been my mixed feel about talking, was that the two men who had activated my memories were killed because I was talking, and it was like, this has a cost.
Mm-hmm.
And I see people coming forward talking about things, and they have little kids. And I'm like, are you stupid?
You can't wipe the whole family out.
Yeah. No, there are people in this community that their entire family's gone missing, and I'm like, are you stupid? You have small children. Why the hell are you talking? Wait until your kids are grown. Then they have plausible deniability that mom or dad went batshit after they grew up,
Yeah.
But, my kids are all grown. My grandkids are in high school, and my mother says I'm going to get her arrested, but she doesn't know anything about what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
After I was grown, she married a man who was a warrant officer, and the only thing he ever told us was, "Yeah, I supervised making atomic weapons, and if I tell you any more, I'll have to kill you." So, we never asked. I have no idea what the man actually did.
Don't ask. Don't ask, and he won't tell.
And he died in 2000 from liver cancer.
Oh, God.
So it's not like they're going to do anything to him for me. That was before my memory was even activated. And my mom and I don't speak much because she wants to be a Southern family matriarch and order everybody around. And that don't fly with me.
That makes her feel the camaraderie, feel comfortable. She wants to have all closeness, which is good.
No, she wants to have control.
Not necessarily
And
control.
every time we talk, she says, "You need to stop talking." I'm like, "No, Mom. This is my job. This is what I'm here for. I'm supposed to be talking because I want the kids to not be kidnapped anymore." I was 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I understand mind fracture has to be done before you're 7, otherwise you just die. But still, there's nothing we really do out there that can't be done by consenting adults.
Right.
There's no reason for this shit.
True.
So that's what I'm going for, is there's no reason for little kids to be kidnapped and tortured. Let consenting adults sign up for it.
Right.
So, I mean, if I got to talk about it, at least that's the goal. So,
But, you were gifted. You are gifted. So that's And there's areas in this life that you have to sacrifice for the good of the world. Put it that way, or the good of the country, or the good of humanity.
I've been trying to do what I understood to be for the good of the world and the good of humanity. And I don't regret that. But it would be nice if they would let me retire.
You're a beautiful person. There is no retirement.
Oh, I know. There is no retirement. I've done 91.
You wouldn't want it either, May. You wouldn't want to be retired.
I wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't want to be retired.
I've had people tell me, you know, if you had a nice, quiet, boring life, you would go insane.
You'd be seeking out everything else to do to keep you.
I would sit and read.
You gonna read?
I tend to be a bookworm, and when I'm bored with the reading, I have Netflix.
Uh-huh. That's good.
But yeah, it's been interesting. Some of the folks that have contacted me since I've been public, it's like they're curious about this weird person. And then they get their curiosity satisfied, and then they disappear.
They move on. Uh-huh.
So,
you're not weird. You're not weird. You're fun.
Thank you. I have deeply enjoyed talking to you today.
Yeah.
I'm glad your son introduced us.
Yes. You're a good person. You're a beautiful person. You love nature.
Thank you.
So people. Yeah, you got a long time here. You got more work.
There's so much going down right now in our world.
It is.
That those of us who care about people need to start working together instead of bickering over politics and religion, because there's so much going on that we just need to say enough. And enough is enough, and it's time to care about children. It's time to care about the elders. It's time to care about what's going down in the world, and you have a
beautiful heart. You have a beautiful heart.
Thank you.
You do.
So, yeah, the version of death that shows up says that I've got decades with an S on the end of it, so I figure I'm here for a while longer.
Oh yeah, you're here.
So I'm not worrying about dying. I'm just worrying about getting too tired. I'm worried about getting too tired to do the work.
That's why you won't be too tired to do the work, because you're continually doing something.
Yeah. Yeah, I contacted your son one day. There was this guy that was supposed to interview me, and at the last minute he says, well, I'm processing this and it's more important than you are. And I winded Daryl, and he says, well, you know, I can give you a radio show on my network. And I've been here ever since. I love that. You know, it's like, he had a solution.
I wonder, hey, what did the guy say now?
The other guy, he hasn't talked to me since. It's like, why am I not on your show? Well, you didn't want me on yours.
That's right. That's it. So I don't want to be rude to you, and you didn't want me on your show, and now you think about you want to come on mine. Now, why would I want to do that? I wouldn't want to.
Well, I've had people asked to be on my show.
Hmm.
Uh,
I'm sure they have.
I started in August, and I think there've only been 3 times that I've had to ask other people, and they've been people that were interesting, like you are. So I've been like occasionally reaching out to somebody outside of my little community and extending the reach of the show, and I met some really great people, and I'm glad I'm doing this.
Yeah. I may have something else to tell you later on.
Okay.
Yes.
When I talked to some of my friends that you were going to be on, they were wondering if you like had a list of who was real.
No.
No. I figured you probably didn't, but I promised I would ask. So, I have another friend who's on the team who kidnaps us, and she is just as much a victim of this as we are. But if it's somebody I'm not sure about, I'll ask her, is so and so on the list of people you abduct? And she'll say yes or no. So I do have somebody backing up some of what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, you can usually tell when it's one of us because we shift alters and we're kind of unsure of ourselves, and the fake ones are so cocky about it.
Mm-hmm.
And
we want to be precise. We want to make sure we dot every I, that no one is sidetracked, or no one has wonder about what is being said. So that's another thing too. We want to make sure that we don't tell someone something wrong, and that would throw them off the track that they're on.
Well, I try real hard not to tell people what they're remembering,
Mm-hmm.
because that was done to me at the beginning, and that's really hard to work around. And a lot of people do that thinking they're being kind. Well, this is what you're remembering. Well, not necessarily.
No.
There's lots of programs out there, and they do different things. And, so I'm not going to tell somebody else what they're remembering because I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's like major hubris that I understand everything that you've been through when I haven't even listened to you.
That's lovely. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever heard music coming from, as we would say, if being on earth, music coming from the sky?
Yeah, I have. I've heard music coming from the sky, and I've heard music in my head that felt like it was radio beamed in there.
Mm-hmm.
And some of it has been very different from what was being played on the radio then, but I would hear similar stuff 20 years later. The song that is my theme song was written for me by someone who is a ET experiencer, and he sat through my presentations in the first conference I went to and went home and wrote that song for me.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just the most incredible piece of work. Give me your email and I'll send you the link to where you can hear the whole thing.
Okay.
And it's all instrumental, and when I'm...
Yeah, it's all
when I'm into it, it's like I'm back in a ship while I'm listening to it. I feel at one with the ship, and I'm floating in space.
Mm-hmm.
And in a good way, not in a, oh my God, I'm back there.
And when I was a little girl, I was outside in the yard, and I heard something, and I looked up, but I was spellbound. I couldn't move. My mother had called me to come into the house, and I couldn't move. I couldn't speak to her. I couldn't say anything. I looked. I was looking up in the sky, and it looked as if there was a cloud that the music was coming from, and I got the mute. I was given 2 songs. One I don't really have it to. I don't even know what I did with it, but there's one other. It's a beautiful song, and I wrote it down as they were singing it. There's so many little things that you. This earth is what is it? It's spilling over with a whole lot of other things and other people and other entities from other worlds, and and I was that was really, but the music was that vibe. It was the harp, the harp, the harp and the violins, the string instruments, but the song that was given to me had a little beat to it. You know, it was a religious song, and it had the beat to it. Yeah, it was good. That was good. And
doesn't the best music always have a beat?
No, not all of them.
The best music always has a beat.
Always has a beat. Okay, then. Take your word for it. Yeah. Some of that are hard, and it doesn't.
Some of the stuff is really, really beautiful and very
so
calming. But the stuff I really enjoy has drums.
No, mine was harp and violin and a choir. It had the blending choir, the voices, beautiful. It was so beautiful.
I grew up with voices. I grew up in the Church of Christ, and they didn't have instrumental music, and so they had all these harmonies in the vocals, and some of it was really beautiful.
Blend together, and this let me see if I can get it. And you hear the and then all of them still blending themselves together. Beautiful. And you look up, and I don't know why I was spellbound that I could not move. I couldn't move until the song was over. My mother asked me, said, "What did you do with why did it take so long to come?" I said, "Oh, do you know, I was looking up in the sky, and I said, in the cloud it looked as though I heard string instruments. I heard the harp. I heard the voices coming together, and it was beautiful. It was really beautiful." Have you ever had what you call those little things? The angels? Not the angels. No, I was talking about them to. I don't know, it was Daryl and my grandson. The little wing thing. I was not long having moved here, and I went out through the garage.
Here is DC.
Yeah, DC. Okay. And I was, the sun was brilliant at that time. There, I remember about 12 o'clock in the daytime, and I was saying a prayer, and I listened because I thought I heard something, and I heard what do they call those little things? I'll think of it maybe. I looked down. And I saw those little wing-like creatures. Little wing-like creatures, and they're real small, and like
Oh,
angel
elves or fairies?
fairies,
Fairies.
fairies. And the one of them said, one was saying to the others that they were having, flying around, and one said to the other said, "She hears us." And they were surprised. "She hears us. Look." That's what they said. "Look. She's looking at us." And then I started pointing to them. I said, "Yes, I hear you. And I see you." And I was so strange. It never had it happen to me in life. And that was something. So many things has happened to me in life, but that was one that didn't. Fairy.
Yeah, there's lots of things that share this world with us, and most of them are invisible to normals.
Mm-hmm. And then on another occasion, coming from around near Fort Meade, Fort Belvoir, and a bird was flying, and it said, "Zoop," and it stopped, and the car kept going, and I looked over because I heard the zzz, and I looked up, and it was a bird, a huge bird. Have you ever seen that?
I've seen some critters that nobody else seems to see. I've seen some really big birds.
Yes.
And they have feathers, so they're not ships.
Yeah.
And it's incredible to see some of the sizes of the beings that share our world. And
yeah, and did you know?
No, you're sitting there and you're going,
I can't believe it.
And nobody else can see them.
Ah, right. And I said, "My God!" And I was in the car with my sister, and I don't remember who it was else, somebody else. They were just going to sleep. And I said, "Louise, do you see that?" And she said, "No, I don't see anything." But the bird, he was flying, and he stopped, and we made eye contact.
Cool.
In his eyes, it zoomed in, zoomed out, and then it zoomed back in. It's you could see his eye like he was taking a picture, a camera that it was adjusting. That's the way his eye was. I said, "Wow, why is this?" So we're seeing all this now. But I don't know if my sister ever did see it. I don't think she saw it, but.
Well, my sisters could never see anything that I saw either, and I would tell my dad what I was seeing, and he'd beat me and say, "Stop lying." So I learned to not tell him.
Because he didn't want you, your spirit, to bring that to him, to bring that to them.
Yeah, I was Episcopalian as an adult, and I told the priest one day what I was saying, and he says, "Do me a favor and don't share with me anymore."
Keep it to yourself. No more.
And I said something later on about, well, I see the world a little differently, and he goes, "Yes, you do."
Keep it to yourself.
That was funny.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he eventually excommunicated me because I had altars and they couldn't get rid of them through exorcism, so they kicked me out.
Good girl.
So, I finally gotten to the point where I'm okay without church.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But,
you don't have to. Church is in the heart, in the body, right here in the heart. That's what church is. And another thing, have you? My mother was dying, and in the hospital here in Washington, and we're originally from North Carolina, and my mother was dying, and we made it to the hospital in time before she died. And cause
Good.
she said, hurry up now, cause I don't know how much longer I have. I'll tell you about her incident. My sister was born July 23rd, and she couldn't. She went blind. She what else she had? Something wrong with her kidneys. I forgot. Well, she had those problems, and one day her eyesight came back, and she said, I said, well, during the baseball season, she liked baseball, and she said, I said, did you let your doctor know that you have? She said, no, I didn't say a word. I didn't let her know. And she said, she know that they probably wouldn't understand us, doctors. And when my sister's birthday was coming around on July 23rd, she told us, she said, I'm supposed to be gone by that time. She said, I asked God to extend my days so that I can have the birthday with Louise. We could share her birthday, all of us could share her birthday together. So he gave her 2 days extra. And so it was beautiful. And I said, Mama, I've never heard anyone say that God had extended their days. So when he extended her days.
You just gotta ask.
Yeah. A lot of things we don't know is because we don't ask.
Yeah. I've been, because I was doing home health care, I've been the person to walk people over to the other side. And that is probably the biggest honor anyone can ever have, is to be asked to go with to the gate. So that was just, I've been blessed to have that more than once. It would be times that the family would not show up, or they would be so hostile that the person would say, well, I want Penny to hold my hand.
Yeah, well, what I want to, this is what I want to tell you about the spirit, her body, the soul. When it left her body, I didn't want her to go, but so what I did was I called on God to allow me to hold her spirit until because I didn't want her to go, and nobody else didn't really want her to go. She's such a sweet lady, and she I'm sitting outside of her room, my sister and I. The doctors had already told us that they wanted to try something else right quick, and that if we would we just sit outside and wait, and that she may be gone when we come, when they come back for us. And she said, oh, so we got our little last kiss and hug from her. And so we were sitting outside, and I looked out and saw a little bird passed, and a dead bird. I said, Louise, I said, well, we don't know. That's because there's the bird passed. And so we sat down, still sat in the seats, and my mother, she did leave, and I held on to that spirit. I don't know how I did it. I held on to it.
Yeah, there's no words for a lot of the stuff that we do.
I held on to it, and I didn't let go. And she told me, she said, Doris, you are going to have to turn me loose, because you can't go with me, and you can't stop it. And as I was feeling her tugging, and it was a zzz, and I caught onto it right there, and that's what I called on, and it was pulling me on the inside. That's when she said, you have to turn loose. So she has to go. Well, I enjoyed talking to you. It's been interesting.
I enjoyed talking to you too, but Ramona's show, Ramona Speaks the Other Truth, is supposed to start in 4 minutes.
Okay.
So, do you have somewhere where people can contact you, or should they get a hold of Daryl?
Well, I usually. You can call me.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I could. I don't have to let him orchestrate my telephone calls.
Well,
Okay. God bless.
you have a wonderful evening, and thank you so much for coming.
I enjoyed it. I really did. God bless you.
God bless you too.
Thank you. What was I going to say about the little boy? I'll tell you.